Today we feature the brilliant mind whose unique furniture has put Filipino design on the global map. His creations are a blend of nature, craft, and technology and have become truly iconic. Tonight on Power Talks, we sit down with Mr. Kenneth Cobonpue.
When I started, I didn't have the money to advertise, and so I had to let the work speak for itself. You have to force yourself, you put a piece of paper and try to come up with something. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the process. I failed because I couldn't draw. And so
And
it was
this
the
was
screaming
the height of
headlines.
his
You had Brad Pitt,
popularity.
sleeps on Cobonpue's bed. So that's how I became known in my own country.
Kenneth, thank you so much for having us here in your beautiful showroom. It's our first time in here, and you just recently opened, right?
Yes, that's right. We opened in February.
It's a beautiful place, so sunny, so bright, and of course so colorful. Is that what you had in mind when you were creating and curating the space?
Yes, color is very much a part of the brand and of my aesthetic.
So were you very hands-on and very involved in choosing the pieces that you display here in the showroom?
Yes, of course. So every space is different, and this is a new adventure for us, having left our Greenbelt showroom after 10 years. So yeah, we're happy to be in this more open corner where there's also a lot of more traffic and,
And
right in the
bigger,
heart.
it's a lot bigger.
Yes,
also.
it's a lot bigger. Yeah.
And we've seen also some of your, your trademark pieces on display here, like the Bloom chair.
Yes,
the
that's
Bloom
right.
chair, and of course the iconic bed. This is the Dolce.
Yes, that's the Dolce. So on the ground floor, we have all our new collections, and on the second floor are our classics.
Oh, okay. So you really designed it that way. So that's when the customers come in, they see the new ones first.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
All right. So I was interested in how, there's a similarity, but there's also uniqueness to each piece.
Yeah.
What is the process that goes into designing each particular piece?
Yeah, so each design is like giving birth to a child, right? It's different. It's a different. There's different birth pains. There's a different inspiration, story.
It's interesting how you describe it as like childbirth. I mean, I can't imagine giving birth this many times. I know you've described it as both joyous and painful. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because for every piece that you see here, there's probably one or two along the development that didn't make it to this floor and didn't make it, So design is a process of experimentation, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
So there are a lot of discarded ideas, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes we work on something for like a year, 2 years, and we just have to have the courage and the humility to say, look, it doesn't work. Yeah, so, it's no go.
I was going to ask about that because I was thinking sometimes when you're trying to create something and then let's say you've spent like 6 months on it, you don't want to throw it away kasi parang may panghihinayang, di ba?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you sometimes feel that?
Yeah. Well, I'm used to it, but it's really painful for the design team who worked on it. But it happens even in the great big studios like Disney. They've worked for years on a film, and then the final screening, it doesn't make the cut. And so it happens. I think, you cut your losses and just say, let's think of something else.
So at what point do you decide now, okay, let's move on from this. It's not working.
Anywhere along the process, because we try to save it. We try to do things to it, but it can be because of the cost or because of the look. And sometimes it's only a matter of changing then one thing, like the leg, or and then it works.
Okay.
But really, sometimes it really doesn't, and we just say, look, let's not do this, or maybe we find out that somewhere, someone in the world has done it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah, then why do the same thing?
Exactly.
All right. Coming in, I mean, speaking from my point of view as a customer, as a client, or someone who's just interested in visiting.
Yeah.
So when we come in, the first thing that strikes us is the beauty, right? The beauty of each and every piece.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking also that what we're seeing is the finished product already.
That's right.
So I'm trying to imagine where the magic begins for you. I mean, is it like, sometimes in some corner of a restaurant, or in your car, or while driving? Where does it all begin for you?
Yeah. So I wish it were more romantic, that it's always that flash of inspiration, or when you're sitting in a nice cafe, or in a car, or in your dreams, right? But most of the time, it really comes out when you really sit down and force it out.
Okay, you have to sit at the desk and try and come up with something.
Yeah, I think Einstein put it really well. It's really 99% perspiration, and that's design. It's not waiting for inspiration. It's like you have to force yourself. You put a piece of paper and try to come up with something. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the process.
And how long does it usually take you? I mean, does it vary? Like sometimes it's just like a minute, and then other times it takes forever.
Yes, it varies. It varies. It's but the whole process, I can say it's about 1 year from sketch to actual object, and the testing and all that. Yeah, at least a year.
At least a year. What's the longest that you've ever had to work on something?
Oh, we worked like the bloom chair. I think we've worked the flower chair. We worked on that for I think 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to perfect that. Because that's not a product. The bloom chair is a revolutionary, not only for me, but also for the Philippines, because we don't really make upholstered products. Everything that comes out of the Philippines is either woven or carved or, it's something, but an upholstered product is something that we're not really, that's not our strength, let's put it that way. Yeah. So when you came out with the bloom chair, there was always that risk that, will somebody buy this from the Philippines? Right? So it had to be so different, and so the work that you put into it had to be of a very high level for even Europeans to consider buying it. When I was doing the bloom chair, like, how would a child draw a flower? Would be how, and that it should be like that. Anything more than that would be too complicated, be too frivolous. It'd be too much design, let's put it that way. So it had to be very simple, and I think that's the magic.
But do you still remember what your first ever design was? Maybe like even from childhood, before you even became the Kenneth Cobonpue that we know now.
Well, yeah, when I was a child, I designed, things that I built my own planes, and even I built a bridge over a fish pond. I built so many.
Okay, how old were you when you built a bridge over a fish pond?
And I fell many times trying it. Yeah.
Trying out your bridge.
Trying out my bridge that I built, yeah.
Okay.
Because my mother had a furniture, like a work, backyard kind of operation at the back of our house. So I used to just take materials there, and then
so that was your playground.
Yeah, that was my playground.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I would show them to my mother, and it would really make her happy. And so I had a very happy childhood. So when it was time to choose a profession, I said, I want to be a child forever. To make to make not just my mom happy, but other people happy. Yeah.
And so I suppose your mom was very happy when you chose to be a designer and chose this career path for yourself.
Yes. That wasn't an easy one. I took up a business first because my dad was a businessman, and he said there's really no money in design. So he told me, you take up business, and if you still want to take up design, you can do it after. Yeah.
I'm curious though about the bridge that you're talking about, that you built over the fish pond. Was it made of rattan? Because that was the primary material that your mom used, right, for her furniture.
Yes. It was built from pieces of plywood and whatever I could find.
How old were you then?
I was I think about 8 or 9.
Oh, but so you had help naman, putting it together.
No, that's the thing. I didn't. It was just I just put it together.
Okay, on your own.
Yeah.
All right, and then you said you also built airplanes. So you didn't do paper planes. You did.
Well, I did those too, of course.
Okay.
But so I built things that crawled and rolled, and all those things.
Those were your toys.
Those were my toys. Yeah, those were my toys. My mom always encouraged me to make my own things, So when it was time to, I remember in school, I was very unhappy because people bought their projects from store shelves. If I made a little house, they would buy, and I had to make my own thing, and it was very cruddy with glue and everything, and I was always so unhappy. Like, this is so ugly, and theirs looks so nice. I mean, when you're a kid,
you tend to compare.
You tend to compare.
Oh, but I'm sure your teachers could tell that
Yeah,
you did
of
your
course,
own.
yes,
So
yes.
my
So
A for effort.
yes. And they appreciate it, and that's how I had confidence also in the things that I built and made. And when I was a child, my mom would read me stories, bedtime stories, every night. And I had to imagine what castles look like, what monsters and what people wore and all that. And I guess that's why I had a very active imagination. And the next day would find me always making or drawing these things, what I, these stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you really just
So
let
that's
your
what really-
imagination run wild.
Yes.
So I'm imagining you grew up in Cebu. You're born and raised in Cebu.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining that you'd spend your afternoons instead of playing outside. You'd be in your mom's
Yes.
workshop. Were you the only one among your siblings who was interested in design and building?
Yeah. So it
Okay.
was just me and my sister then.
Okay.
No, I always acknowledge that without her, I would never be where I am.
Does she compliment certain pieces that you've made
Yeah, yes.
more than others?
Yes, but a mother will always love your work.
And then it was after business school that you went on.
No, actually, no. I didn't finish business school. So in the
Ah,
middle
okay.
of my accounting class, crunching numbers, I said, "This is not for me." So I went and I applied to the fine arts program. I went to UP, Diliman,
Okay.
to because I wanted to study industrial design. That's the profession that this is called. And so I went over there, and there was a talent exam, and I failed because I couldn't draw. I couldn't draw. I went to a Jesuit school, kid. So back then there was no emphasis on art at all. It was like science and math.
Mostly philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I couldn't draw, and so I failed. And then so I spent a whole year. I took off a year just to learn how to draw and paint, and And I remember my classmates were like kids, just learning to draw. So it was very humbling.
Oh, because you took
humbling.
art classes.
I took art classes again.
Okay.
Because that was a prerequisite for any design school then.
So you were like 18, 19?
Yeah, yes.
And then with
children learning,
and small
like
children.
summer class,
Yeah.
learning how to paint and draw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So were the teachers wondering what you were doing there?
Yeah. So I mean, no, I told them that I had to learn to draw,
Okay.
refine my skills.
And it was very different. It's not like now that you can, sketch on an iPad with help. I mean, of course, it's still sketching.
Yes, and now you can go on YouTube and you can learn. Of course, back then there were no videos. You had to learn it. You had to learn painting and drawing from somebody else.
And so once you had done that 1 year of studying how to draw, is that when you ended up going to New York to the Pratt Institute?
Yes, I went to the Pratt Institute, my mother's alma mater, and that was my first time in the United States. And so my mom went and taught me how to use a subway and said, "Here, you're on your own." And that was I was then 18. I was 18 then. New York then was really scary. It was not as civilized as New York today.
Yeah, it's now.
It was really it was really a jungle. And so she left me there, and it was very. It was a harrowing experience. I was living in Brooklyn, and there was a lot of muggings. It was a very crime-infested neighborhood then.
And so you would
And
be
so I had to
walking
learn
home.
everything because I was so scared to go. I spent most of my time in the library. Yeah, and so all my evenings were spent with those art and design books.
And
So I
it was
went through all of them, and that's probably good. I have a very I think a very acute knowledge of designers and everything that's been designed.
And it was a 4-year course?
It was a 4-year course.
Okay.
Yes. I think design education prepares you to think out of the box, which is actually applicable to anything that you do. And even until today, because I used to teach at the College of St. Benilde and UP Cebu, more than half probably don't end up in design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're one of the lucky few who actually ended up pursuing a career in design.
Yes, right.
And so you mentioned that it's also your mom's alma mater, that Pratt Institute was also your mom's alma mater.
Yes.
And
yes.
Was she the reason you wanted to go there, to Pratt Institute?
Yeah. In industrial design, there were very few schools that offered, first of all, industrial design, and Pratt was one of them. Yeah. And my sisters lived on the East Coast, so we chose the East Coast. At Pratt, I learned how to see things, to that form. I always thought that, of course, the difference between art and design is very subjective, right? It's not objective. It's not like math, and where you go in the world, 2 + 2 always equals 4. In art and design, it's very subjective. What may be beautiful to me may not be pretty to you. So it's important that you learn from a master, good people, because they teach you how to see things. Yeah, and at Pratt, I was lucky. My professors were very good at that time. So they taught me how to see form, that form can elicit emotions in all of us.
Was it intimidating in any way? I mean, not like now when so many Filipinos go abroad to study.
Yeah.
Back then, maybe it wasn't as common as it is now.
Yes. No, it was intimidating. I was the only. I think there were only 2 of us, two Filipinos. I mean, there were Filipino Americans, but there were only 2 of us really, Filipinos
who grew
up here, right? And we were not really trained to talk, right? And so sometimes you have to defend your work, and Americans are very good at that, right? They can make something out of nothing, And so, and so I was always soft-spoken. I was always shy, and so I had to let the work speak for itself. Which was really good, because when I started, I didn't have the money to advertise. There was no social media then. So you were at the mercy of magazine editors. And it was really on the strength of the pieces themselves that, that I became known. Not because of my name, which is difficult to pronounce anyway, right? Even for Filipinos. So it was really the strength of the design.
So after graduation from the Pratt Institute, did you stay in New York to continue working there?
I wanted to stay in New York, but there was a recession then. Harvard graduates were driving taxi cabs. Remember that time?
Yeah.
So I had to come back to the Philippines. There was one of the deepest recessions. There was no jobs then. So I came back and I took over my mom's factory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that worked out fine just for you.
Actually, that worked out fine. Yes. Yeah.
And so that's how it all began for you when you came back home.
Yes. Yeah. And I decided to stay in the Philippines.
What spurred you to make that decision?
I love what I do, and I love everything. I love the people. And I felt I didn't have a brand then. Of course, I made these designs, and it came upon me that this is what I want to do all my life.
It's so nice to see how you're so proud also of the fact that you're Filipino. Here we find someone so successful with so many achievements saying that no, stay here. There's no reason to leave the country.
Yes. It was a gamble then.
Like we said, it worked out for you staying here, and you mentioned that you like that your pieces speak for themselves. And I think maybe one of the early works that really caught the international, put you on the international stage was the Phoenix. Is that really considered your first international piece that caught the attention of people abroad?
No, I think it's the Voyage, the Bed.
Even
because
before
of
the
Brad Pitt
Phoenix.
Because of the celebrity, the Hollywood angle. So the Voyage Bed was bought by Brad Pitt, and and then there was a news.
Can you tell us the story about how Brad Pitt bought the Voyage Bed? How did that even happen?
Yes, we were selling to a store in Los Angeles, and Brad Pitt was one of their, I think, clients, and he saw the bed, and he bought the bed, and then he went back, and they saw my designs, and he would choose that without knowing who designed it, and finally the store owner said, there's just one guy who designed all those pieces. So I said, and so we made that connection.
Oh, okay.
But I never knew that you could use that for publicity. It was only 3 years after the fact, where I think it was Thelma San Juan from Thelma was the one who asked, do you have any celebrity clients? I said, yeah, Brad Pitt, bought this bed, And so it was the screaming headlines. Brad Pitt, sleeps in Cobonpue's bed. So that's how I became known in my own country.
So did you ever get to meet Brad Pitt?
No, but
Okay.
we've corresponded many times. We've worked on several projects, charitable projects that he was doing. He was developing an electric car also, and he sent some his people to us.
So he had some pieces commissioned? Or?
Yes, he had some pieces commissioned too. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And some of your work was also on Ocean's 13, right?
Yes,
Is it
that's
because
right.
of Brad Pitt?
Actually, no. That was a different
Okay.
different thing. So it was a surprise that that when he went to the set that he saw those pieces actually. That was with Warner Brothers. They bought. They ended up. Well, they chose a few pieces. We sent them our catalog, and then they ended up furnishing the entire set with our pieces, which they've never done before. They said they normally don't pick it from one manufacturer.
Oh,
They did,
okay.
yeah.
So, when you realized that you had all these big celebrity clients, did that put any pressure on you, or was it really just a sense of pride?
No, yeah. I think no. To me, we're just
They're just clients.
They're just clients like anybody else.
So even because you also have you count royalty among your clients, right? Queen Sofia of Spain.
Yes.
Queen Renee of Jordan.
Yes.
And
We have a lot of celebrity clients, and we have a lot of also movies and films, which I don't know about. I only know it when a friend tells me, "Oh, I saw your furniture in this film and this."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we don't pay for those.
So because you
endorsements.
really just sell your pieces to the international store or brand.
Right,
Yeah, okay.
right. And then whoever.
And then they just happen to pick the
yeah.
pieces that you make.
Yes, I think because they're photogenic and they're they have so much character. Yeah.
And very, very pretty. Not just photogenic, they're actually quite comfortable.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I mean, we can sit here the whole day. even the chairs at the back, I tried sitting on all. I actually asked when I came in, is it okay to sit on the pieces?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if it's just for display or if we can sit on them. It is very comfortable.
Thank you.
Is it possible to pick among everything that you've done a favorite piece? I mean, it's probably like picking a favorite child because you said these are your children.
Yes, I love the Dragna chair is still one of my favorites because it goes into any space. I think the challenge of a Filipino designer is to design something that's Filipino and still global. It can go with anything in any apartment in Milan or in New York or anywhere around the world.
Oh, that's true because I was looking through your collections and you have pieces in all continents. You have in Africa, you have in Asia, Europe, North America. And it still has that same feeling. Parang you'll be surprised na, bagay rin pala to like in a cold climate country or what we thought was a tropical design is perfectly suited also for North America.
Yeah. And any style of interior, be it traditional or because I think that's who a Filipino is. A Filipino is global.
You've also been hailed, speaking of the Filipino being global, Time hailed you as Rattan's first great virtuoso. How would you describe that the feeling when you first found out about that?
Oh, I think of course I was elated that day. Yeah. I think there's a lot of because my earlier work had a lot to do with Rattan, and so I was trying to push always the craft, the structure, new ways of doing things with Rattan. Yeah, so that's how I got that.
And it's really an intentional decision on your part to use materials that are found locally.
Yes, because rattan is one of the most I think relatively easy to work with. You don't need a lot of tools. It's a very basic hand tools. You can and up to today we still do all our mock-ups and we build it all in rattan. It's a great material.
Well, it's not just Time magazine that that praises you. You have a lot of different accolades, different awards. You just recently received the Gawad CCP Para sa Sining Award.
Yes.
And that was the first, I think, for design, for industrial design that they handed out.
Yes. It's just the first, that they just added that category too for design.
So, I mean, how does it feel to be, of course, you've been recognized globally, but also to be appreciated and recognized on the local scene? How does that feel? Is it extra special when it's, it's your home country recognizing you?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Especially because there was no category before that for they call it even. In fact, they still call it applied arts. That's what they call it. Like it's art with a function, I suppose. Because there was no category for that. Yeah. So it's flattering, of course, to be recognized by your own countrymen.
I think it's especially meaningful when it comes from a place
where you come from.
Yeah, where you come from.
Yes.
Like you also received the Pratt Institute Legends Award. I think that's something when it's your school that gives you the award.
That's one of the biggest awards probably in my life, the Pratt Legend Award, because that's not an award. I only learned when I was there that's not an award they only give to alumni. That's an award they give to any design or art luminary. And so there are about 70 of us so far since the beginning.
Wow.
So among them is Calvin Klein and
Oh, you're in such good company.
I must say, I think I'm the only Southeast Asian ever been who's there on that list. Yeah.
Wow. And that was just 2 years ago?
Yes, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, that came as a quite a pleasant surprise, I must say.
I was gonna ask, I mean, do you still get surprised, or I mean, is there still like, that feeling of awe whenever you receive an award?
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Especially from your peers, because they're the toughest
to please.
To please, yeah. I think more than celebrity clients, I think it's really recognition among your peers. Yeah.
That's a very interesting way to put it. And it makes sense. I mean, because they are, after all, the ones who understand the craft. They have a deeper appreciation for the craft.
Yes, yeah. And they're also the harshest critics. Yeah.
I was about to ask you, because you said, you talked about how you have to defend your work sometimes. Like when you were in school, you had to defend your work.
Yeah.
How do you take criticism? I mean, it's very difficult because I mean, especially when you say that like each piece is like a child to you, that it's like giving birth to a child, and then somebody says, I don't like that, or there's something about that I'm not particularly pleased with. How do you handle the criticism?
No, that's okay, because I think that there's so many pieces to choose from that if they don't like one, they'll probably like one of the probably 40 different designs that I've done. But everyone has his own favorite. Yeah.
When you put it that way, it seems like a very mature perspective that you can just let the criticism roll off your back. Yeah. But was it always like that? I mean, when you were a young, fresh designer, was it harder to take criticism?
I think I was very fortunate. I didn't get a lot of criticism actually. What I had was, I think, something very, very new, very fresh on the design scene, not only locally but also globally. So a lot of people, even well-known European brands, copied me, actually followed my and that's a great thing, I think, in the world of design, that here we are. And also a lot of my design, people I look up to in the design world, when I was still in school, they actually came to visit me after they came to visit me in Cebu, and they learned from me. And so I think those moments were, I think, are the happiest moments. It's a recognition from your peers or people you look up to in the world of art and design. But I realize also what I'm doing is actually like adding to the design vocabulary. Probably that's a nice way of putting it to the Philippines, right? There's a lot of designs that are influenced by this aesthetic, what I do. And so people, when they see this kind of open, transparent design, they said, oh, that's a Cobonpue, even if it's not, right? So I realized that's probably my contribution to the history of contemporary Filipino design.
Yeah, that really puts your name right there, right?
Yeah.
So when you look back at all the work that you've done, I mean, well, let's say for somebody like me, and I see the body of work that you have created, and like the amount of time you spent in the industry. At this point, what are the things that continue to inspire you to come up with new designs?
A lot of my designs are inspired by nature, by my travels, by things. I think that now in the world of social media, we tend to be bombarded with so many things, and we've seen almost everything. We see so many new ideas, so many new designs, and every day it's very hard now to impress. And in the last few years, I've been to all these shows around the world. I haven't really, very, very few things that are really unique, And so it's that constant search for something that's novel, something that's never been done, or that pushes me. Yeah. And it's always has to do with our craft, the craftsmanship that we have. Everything I do has to have that element of hand craftsmanship that we're known for. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you were teaching a class. Do you still teach at the college?
No, I don't teach anymore.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. I used to be chair of the industrial design department in the College of St. Benilde, and then I taught for several years.
But I read that it's one of your long-term goals or dreams to put up a school dedicated to design.
Yes, yeah, and that's probably what I'm gonna do when I retire, if I ever retire.
If you ever retire.
And but every year we have a lot of very young interns fresh from school that we train, we mold, and some of them are doing a lot of good work in the field of design.
And it's important to you that you mentor the next generation.
Yes, I think so. Yes, more than anything, I think the next generation is the future, of course, of design, but also they enable our craftsmen to make a means of living. The biggest problem with the design industry or the manufacturing industry is that we're losing our craftsmen. It's like our farmers, right? The average age is about 50, 60. Their kids don't want to do this kind of work anymore, and we're losing this craft, right? This is part of our heritage, our tradition. And so their goal is always that they send their kids to college and they work in offices and not work with their hands anymore. And so it's up to next generation of designers to make sure that they earn well, that this is a noble, respectful, and a well-paying job.
Yeah, and so that the line continues.
Yes.
But it's also so it's so nice to see that someone of your stature is really concerned and caring for the next generation. Is this something maybe that you also got from your mom, because she was trying to make sure that you also had that passion, that love for design?
Yes, and it's also I think not many have the privilege of studying abroad. I think it's my obligation to share also what I've learned to the next generation. And so it's very important for me. I lecture a lot and there's a lot of tours also of students inside the showroom. I always make time for them.
Looking back at all the work that you've done through the years, everything that you've contributed, not just to the Philippine design industry, but the international design industry, what is it that you still want to do? What is it that you still want to achieve at this point?
I really want to leave a legacy. It's really to the younger generation. It's very important that I feel that this tradition of making things by hand continues, and to that end, I hope that there'll be a whole new generation of designers that come after me and expand and push this craft to even greater heights for all the world to see.
Kenneth Cobonpue is also known as the material whisperer, meaning you're a master at transforming natural materials. So what's one material that truly speaks to you as a designer?
Oh, it has to be rattan. It's easy.
The first answer that comes to mind.
Yes. Yeah,
and
because it's a material that I work with and I still work, and it's the foundation of our design. Yeah.
And it's just in the Philippines. Is rattan really just in the Philippines?
No, it's in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, because rattan needs a forest to grow. So when our forests die, there's no more rattan. It's a vine. Rattan has a ability, because it's comes from a plant, right? There's inherent strength in it. So when we build our curves, we use rattan, because when you bend it, it forms a natural curve, which would be different from a plastic or anything else, because there's a tensile, we call it tensile strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful curve.
let's talk about an undiscovered obsession. So beyond the design world, what's a totally random, if slightly bizarre, hobby or obsession that you have?
I've always loved vintage, older
Vintage cars.
Yeah, vintage cars. That's part of my love. So at the back of our factory, we have a small workshop where we restore cars. And I realized it's the same skills to restore cars are the ones used for furniture, from metalworking to paint to leather, and yeah.
So how many vintage cars have you restored?
Oh, we've restored a lot, maybe 40 to 50
Wow.
cars. And yeah, and it's just the design in those times were really beautiful, very, very simple.
How about, okay, you have designed pieces that are now owned by, royalty, celebrities.
Yeah.
But if you were to design a piece particularly or specifically for your mom, what would you make?
I have this sculpture called Linea. It's a one-off. That's really inspired by my mom. It's that, like that piece over there. Oh. That's a one-off, And so my mom used to make this furniture that's very curvaceous, and so this is my homage to her. I told her, I said, Mom, this is you, right? And she made furniture, and so I pushed it further by making these sculptures in large scale. You see some of them hanging, some of them on walls, and no two are ever alike.
Wow, and that's the beauty of it, that no two are ever alike.
Yes. Each one is designed for that particular space.
Thank you so much again, Kenneth. We really do look forward to the next generation of designers that you continue to inspire.
Thank you. Thank you too, Pia.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and download Power Talks on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, GMA Integrated News streaming platforms, or wherever you listen. Till the next episode,